The massive ship appeared first as a tiny dot on the Galactic Council's long-range scanners. As the Council's exploration vessel moved closer, more dots appeared until the entire screen filled with hundreds of silent, dark ships floating in the empty space. "Another pile of space junk," said Head Counselor Vale of the Luminary. His crystalline form sparkled under the bridge lights as he waved a dismissive hand at the screen. The Luminary, being creatures of pure crystal and light, had always considered themselves the most advanced species in the galaxy. The exploration vessel's captain, Mark Wilson, kept his face neutral despite his growing excitement. As the only human on the bridge, he had learned to hide his emotions from the supposedly superior races. The Council had only accepted humans into their ranks 50 years ago, treating them like children who had stumbled upon spaceflight by accident. "Captain, preliminary scans show these vessels are at least 10,000 years old," reported the science officer, a mentary named Thought Speaker. The telepathic alien's antenna twitched in confusion. "But that's impossible. No civilization except the Luminary had achieved spaceflight that long ago." Mark zoomed the main display, focusing on the closest ship. Its hull was dark and weathered, bearing marks of ancient battles and long exposure to space. But the design, something about it seemed familiar. The smooth lines, the practical arrangement of what appeared to be weapon ports, the efficient engine configuration, it all spoke of careful engineering rather than primitive attempts at space travel. "Request permission to lead a closer investigation," Mark said, keeping his voice level. He could feel the mentary trying to read his surface thoughts and strengthened his mental barriers, another skill humans had developed since joining the galactic community. Vale made a sound like tinkling crystals, the luminary equivalent of a laugh. "You want to waste time studying ancient garbage. These relics are clearly from some long-dead civilization that failed to achieve proper spacefaring status. Look at the primitive design." "With respect, Head Counselor," Mark pressed, "the size of this fleet suggests a significant military force. Understanding its origins could be valuable to the Council." The mentary science officer's antenna perked up. "The human captain makes a logical point. Our records show no civilization possessing a fleet of this size in the early space age. It is anomalous." Vale's crystalline form dimmed slightly, a sign of annoyance. "Very well. You have one standard week to investigate, but don't expect to find anything of value. No race achieved true technological advancement before the Luminary showed them the way." Mark ignored the familiar condescension and began organizing survey teams. Within hours, shuttles were launching from the exploration vessel toward the ancient fleet. As they drew closer, the true scale of the ships became apparent. The smallest was twice the size of the Council's largest battlecruiser, while the flagship dwarfed anything currently flying in known space. The survey teams reported their initial findings with growing excitement. Despite their age, the ship's hulls were made of an alloy their scanners couldn't identify. The weapon ports housed energy weapons of unknown design, and the engine configuration suggested FTL capabilities that shouldn't have been possible for their era. But it was inside the ships that they found the most surprising clues. The corridors were sized for beings of human height and build. The control interfaces, though dead and dark, were arranged in patterns that would be intuitive for human hands and human minds. Mark stood in what was clearly the bridge of the flagship, running his hand along a dusty control panel. The design was different from modern ships, yet somehow familiar, like remembering a dream from long ago. His team had found no bodies, no personal effects. The fleet had been deliberately abandoned, its crew evacuating in an organized departure. "Captain," called one of his human engineers, "we found something in the computer core." "Sir, you need to see this." Mark took one last look around the bridge. Something stirred in his genetic memory, a flash of recognition passed down through countless generations. Their ancestors had built something great, something that was about to change the galaxy's understanding of humanity forever. The ancient fleet had kept its secrets for thousands of years, but now It was time for those secrets to wake up. Dr. James Cooper couldn't sleep. For 3 days straight, he had been studying the markings found in the ancient fleet's computer core. His small office aboard the exploration vessel was covered with holographic projections showing symbols and patterns that kept teasing his mind with their familiarity. "You're going to burn yourself out, James," said Dr. Anna Wells as she entered his office with 2 cups of coffee. She handed him one, careful not to disturb the scattered data tablets on his desk. "When was the last time you ate?" James ran a hand through his messy brown hair and accepted the coffee gratefully. "These markings, Anna, they're not random. Look at this pattern here." He pointed to a recurring symbol that appeared in many of the ship's systems. "It's mathematical, but it's also human." "Human?" Professor Robert Gray walked in, his aged face showing concern. "The Council's experts have already declared these ships to be from an unknown primitive civilization. Are you sure you're not seeing what you want to see?" James stood up and walked to the main display. "Think about it. The ship's corridors are perfectly sized for humans. The control panels are positioned at human height. Even the gravity settings we found in the ship's logs match Earth normal." Too many coincidences. A sharp laugh interrupted them. A luminary scientist named Pure Light stood in the doorway, his crystalline form casting rainbow patterns on the office walls. "Your human imagination is running wild again, Dr. Cooper. These vessels are clearly relics of a failed civilization. The Council has seen many such attempts at space travel." James bit back an angry reply. Instead, he pulled up a new hologram, then explained this. The image showed an enhanced scan of what appeared to be a maintenance panel from the flagship. "See these tool marks? They match the golden ratio, a mathematical principle that humans have used in engineering for thousands of years." Coincidence? Pure Light dismissed. Many species discover basic mathematical principles, but not like this. Anna stepped forward, her eyes bright with excitement. "James is right. Look at the way these systems are integrated. It's exactly how we would design them today. Practical, redundant, with backup systems for the backup systems. It's human engineering philosophy in its purest form." Robert moved closer to examine the hologram. Despite his initial skepticism, decades of engineering experience told him something was different about these ships. The power distribution network, it's like looking at a rough draft of modern human designs, but more advanced in some ways. Pure Light's glow flickered with annoyance. "Impossible. Humans were primitive beings living in caves when these ships were built. The dating is conclusive. Unless," James's voice grew quiet, "unless we're not looking at humanity's past, but at a part of our history we've forgotten." The room fell silent. Even Pure Light stopped glowing for a moment. "The Great Dark Age," Anna whispered. "The 1,000-year period in Earth's history where we lost almost all records. We always assumed we were primitive then. But what if?" James nodded eagerly. "What if humanity had achieved greatness before? What if we built this fleet, and then something happened? Something so devastating that we had to start over, losing all memory of our achievements." "Now you're telling stories," Pure Light scoffed. "Next, you'll claim humans invented faster-than-light travel before the luminary." Before James could respond, his data tablet lit up with an urgent message from the engineering team aboard the flagship. They had found something in the central computer core, a sealed chamber that responded to human DNA. "We need to get back to the fleet," James said, already gathering his equipment. "And Pure Light, you might want to come too. Something tells me you're about to see exactly what humans are capable of." As they hurried to the shuttle bay, James's mind raced with possibilities. The symbols, the engineering, the human-centric design, it all pointed to one incredible conclusion. But he needed proof, something that would force the Council to accept the truth about humanity's forgotten past. Little did he know, the proof was about to wake up, and it would change everything the galaxy thought it knew about the supposedly primitive human race. The sealed chamber in the flagship's computer core looked different from the rest of the ship. While most sections showed age and dust, This room gleamed as if it had been sealed yesterday. James placed his hand on the DNA scanner, and for the first time in thousands of years, the door slid open with a soft hiss. "Impossible," Pure Light said, his crystalline form dimming in shock. "That door responded to human DNA." "Not just responded," Anna said, checking her scanner. "It was specifically designed to only open for humans. This is beyond coincidence now." The room was small but packed with advanced technology. In the center stood a holographic projector, untouched by time. James approached it carefully, his heart pounding. As he got closer, the device activated automatically. A figure appeared, a human woman in a military uniform, unlike anything they'd seen before. Her hologram looked around the room, seemed to count the people present, and then spoke in perfect, modern English. "If you are seeing this message, you are human descendants who have rediscovered the Heritage Fleet. I am Admiral Emma Stone, and what I'm about to tell you has been waiting 5,000 years to be heard." Robert gasped. "That's impossible. The universal translators aren't even running. She's speaking modern English." The hologram continued. "In the year 2157, humanity achieved its greatest breakthrough. True faster than light travel. We didn't just break the light barrier, we shattered it. Within decades, we built this fleet, explored hundreds of star systems, and prepared to join the galactic community." Pure Light's voice shook. "But that predates even luminary spaceflight. We were the first. We chose to hide our achievement," Admiral Stone's hologram explained. "Our long-range scouts discovered something terrible approaching our galaxy, something that had already destroyed dozens of civilizations. We called them the Ravagers. They were drawn to advanced technological civilizations, wiping them out and taking their technology." James felt a chill run down his spine. The hologram showed images of massive dark ships destroying entire worlds. "We had a choice," the Admiral continued. "We could fight and likely be destroyed, or we could hide our advancement and prepare. We chose a third option. We would forget. Using advanced memory modification technology, we erased knowledge of our achievements from our entire civilization. We hid this fleet where it would never be found, programmed to drift through space until humanity reached the stars again naturally." Anna's hands trembled as she took notes. "The Great Dark Age. It wasn't an accident. It was deliberate. We modify our own history, making it appear as if we had never achieved spaceflight. The fleet was programmed to remain hidden until humans evolved space technology again, naturally this time. We left ourselves seeming primitive, knowing that one day we would rebuild, join the galactic community, and when the time was right, rediscover our true heritage." Pure Light had stopped glowing entirely, a sign of complete shock in his species. But why? Why hide such advancement? The hologram seemed to look directly at Pure Light. "Because the Ravagers ignore primitive species. By making ourselves appear primitive, we protected not only humanity, but gave the galaxy time to prepare. The weapons and technology in this fleet are beyond anything you currently possess, because we developed them specifically to fight the Ravagers." James stepped forward. "Admiral, you speak as if you knew the Ravagers would return." "They will," the hologram stated firmly. "Our calculations showed their cycle. If we're right, and if you're seeing this message now, their return is imminent. This fleet carries everything you need. The weapons, the technology, and most importantly, the knowledge humanity once possessed." The hologram's expression softened. "To our descendants, we didn't fail or fall. We chose to forget so that humanity could survive and grow again. Now it's time to remember. The fleet's AI will activate fully within 24 hours, recognizing your DNA patterns. Everything we knew will be available to you." As the hologram faded, James looked at his fellow humans, then at Pure Light. "Still think we're just primitive beings who stumbled upon spaceflight?" The luminary scientist didn't answer. He was too busy staring at the technical specifications now floating in the air around them, designs and concepts that made their most advanced technology look like children's toys. The hidden truth was out. Humanity hadn't just achieved greatness in the past, they had sacrificed it to save the galaxy. And now, as an ancient evil approached once again, it was time for humans to reclaim their legacy. The news spread through the exploration vessel like wildfire. Within hours of the hologram's message, the ancient fleet began to change. Dark hulls started to glow with lines of blue energy. Engines that had slept for millennia hummed to life. But the most dramatic change happened in the flagship's bridge. James, Anna, and Robert stood watching in awe as holographic displays flickered to life around them. The dead bridge transformed into a command center more advanced than anything they had ever seen. Above the captain's chair, a new hologram appeared, this one different from Admiral Stone's recording. Human DNA patterns confirmed. I am Guardian, the fleet's artificial intelligence. Welcome back, children of Earth. The AI's form was a shifting blue light, its voice carrying both warmth and power. This is incredible, James whispered, touching one of the holographic controls. It responded to his touch perfectly, as if it had been designed specifically for his hands, which, he now realized, it had been. Captain Mark Wilson rushed onto the bridge, followed by Head Counselor Vale and several other council members. They had come as soon as they heard the fleet was powering up. Stop this at once, Vale demanded, his crystalline form flashing with anger. This technology cannot be activated without council approval. Guardian's hologram turned to face the luminary leader. I do not recognize your authority, crystalline being. This fleet belongs to humanity. It always has. Impossible. Vale's voice shattered with rage. We are the most advanced. Guardian interrupted by projecting a full technical analysis of luminary technology in the air. Your current technology level is approximately equivalent to humanity's achievement in the year 2145. The Heritage Fleet operates on principles you have not yet discovered. Mark stepped forward, his captain's training keeping his voice steady despite his excitement. Guardian, can you show us what this fleet can do? Of course. Guardian's form expanded, filling the bridge with a three-dimensional display of the entire fleet. The Heritage Fleet consists of 500 ships, each equipped with weapons and defensive systems designed to combat the Ravager threat. Our primary advantage is our understanding of dimensional physics. The display showed one of the fleet's smaller ships. As they watched, it seemed to fold space around itself, disappearing and reappearing instantly several kilometers away. That's not possible, one of the council scientists muttered. The energy requirements alone. Your understanding of energy is limited, Guardian stated simply. Humanity discovered how to harness vacuum energy over 3,000 years ago. The principles are quite simple, actually. James couldn't help but smile as the alien scientists struggled to comprehend what they were seeing. The fleet's technology wasn't just advanced. It operated on principles that the current galactic civilization hadn't even theorized yet. Suddenly, all the displays turned red. Guardian's form pulsed with urgency. Alert! Long-range sensors detecting quantum disturbances at the galaxy's edge. Pattern matches historical records of Ravager emergence. The AI's voice became grim. They are returning exactly as predicted. The color drained from Mark's face. How long do we have? The Ravagers will reach populated systems within 3 standard months. Their fleet signature is larger than any previously recorded encounter. Vale's crystalline form had gone almost transparent, a sign of extreme distress in his species. The Council's combined fleets cannot repel an invasion of that scale. No, Guardian agreed. Your current technology would be ineffective. However, the Heritage Fleet was built specifically for this threat. The AI turned to face the humans. But we require human crews. The ship's systems are designed to work with human neural patterns and decision-making processes. James looked at Anna and Robert, then at Mark. They all understood what this meant. Humanity would have to step up and take command of their ancestors' legacy. How long to train crews? Mark asked. The ship's neural interfaces will allow rapid knowledge transfer. We can have the fleet operational within 1 standard month. Guardian's form brightened. It is time for humanity to remember who they truly are. Pure Light, who had been silent until now, stepped forward. We mocked your species, called you primitive. Yet your ancestors built this fleet when we were still learning to leave our homeworld. The luminary scientist bowed his crystalline form. Perhaps it is time for us to learn from you. As if in response to his words, more systems came online throughout the fleet. The ancient ships were awakening, their power building like a gathering storm. The galaxy had forgotten humanity's true legacy, but that was about to change. The only question was, would they be ready in time? Exactly 2 weeks after Guardian's warning, the first Ravager attack hit the outer colony of New Dawn. The Council's defensive fleet lasted less than an hour. Mark stood on the flagship's bridge, watching the emergency transmissions flood in. The Ravagers' black ships moved like a swarm of locusts, consuming everything in their path. Their technology made the Council's most advanced weapons look like toys. 7th Defense Fleet has fallen, reported a luminary commander, his crystalline form barely visible through static. The Ravagers' shields. Our weapons can't. The transmission cut off abruptly. 3 more colonies have gone dark. Anna announced from her station. She had adapted quickly to the Heritage Fleet's advanced systems, like most of the human crew. The Council's evacuation ships can't keep up with the refugees. Guardian's hologram appeared in the center of the bridge. The Ravagers' assault pattern matches historical records. They are more numerous than before, but their tactics remain unchanged. They still target the most technologically advanced worlds first. How many ships do they have? James asked from his position at the weapons console. Current estimates suggest approximately 2,000 capital ships and 5,000 support vessels. Guardian replied. Their main fleet is moving faster than predicted. They will reach the Council's core worlds in less than a week. Vale, who had insisted on staying aboard the flagship, spoke up. The Council has already lost a third of its fleet. His crystalline form dimmed with shame. We are not prepared for this level of attack. Robert rushed onto the bridge, clutching a datapad. Captain, the neural interface training is complete. All 500 ships have full human crews ready for combat. Mark nodded grimly. Guardian, show me the current position of all Ravager forces. A massive hologram filled the bridge, showing the galaxy's spiral arm. Red dots marked the Ravager fleet's positions, spreading like a virus through Council space. Their forces are split into 3 main attack groups. Guardian analyzed. They believe the Council's forces are the greatest threat, not knowing about our fleet's capabilities. Then we have one advantage, Mark said, his voice firm. They don't know what they're about to face. He opened a channel to the entire Heritage Fleet. All ships, this is Captain Wilson. Our ancestors built this fleet for one purpose, to protect the galaxy from this exact threat. They sacrificed their own advancement and memories to give us this chance. Now it's our turn to prove they made the right choice. James studied the tactical display. The Ravager ships use quantum-based shields, but according to Guardian's database, they're vulnerable to the fleet's dimensional weapons. Correct, Guardian confirmed. The Heritage Fleet's primary weapons create localized space-time distortions. No known shield technology can defend against them. Plot an intercept course with the nearest Ravager attack group, Mark ordered. We'll show them what humanity's primitive technology can do. The Heritage Fleet moved as 500 ships of gleaming metal and glowing energy. Their engines bent space itself, covering vast distances in moments using principles the Council scientists still couldn't understand. The first battle was about to begin. Multiple Ravager ships on approach, Anna reported. They're sending a transmission. A harsh, mechanical voice filled the bridge. Primitive vessels, surrender your technology. Resistance will result in extinction. Mark smiled grimly. Guardian, show them our response. The flagship's weapons powered up, drawing energy from the vacuum of space itself. The other 499 ships did the same, their combined power making nearby stars look dim in comparison. By the way, Mark added, addressing the Ravager ships, these primitive vessels were built by humans. The same humans you dismissed as not worth attacking thousands of years ago. Our ancestors outsmarted you once. Now we're going to finish what they started. The Heritage Fleet opened fire. Space itself seemed to tear apart as dimensional weapons struck the Ravager ships. Their supposedly impenetrable shields meant nothing against weapons that ignored the normal rules of physics. Within minutes, the first battle was over. Dozens of Ravager ships drifted powerless, their advanced technology useless against humanity's forgotten weapons. But this was just the beginning. 2 more Ravager fleets were approaching, and they would not be caught off guard again. The real test was still to come, and the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. All ships, prepare for combat, Mark ordered. It's time to show the galaxy why our ancestors built this fleet. The Heritage Fleet's first victory had caught the Ravagers by surprise. But now, 3 days later, they had adapted. Their remaining fleets had joined together into one massive force, turning space itself dark with their numbers. Multiple dimensional rifts detected. Anna's voice was tense as she monitored the sensors. The Ravagers are trying to copy our technology. Guardian's hologram flickered with concern. They are attempting to reverse engineer our dimensional weapons. Their understanding is crude, but dangerous. The massive view screen showed thousands of Ravager ships approaching the Heritage Fleet's position. They had positioned themselves between the fleet and the Council's capital world, their black hulls blocking out the stars. They're forcing our hand, James said from the weapons station. We can't let them reach the capital. There are billions of refugees there. Mark stood from his captain's chair, his face set with determination. Guardian, it's time. Show us what this fleet can really do. The eyes form pulsed with blue energy, initiating final protocol. Warning, this capability was never tested in actual combat. Throughout the Heritage Fleet, hidden systems began to activate. The ship's hulls shifted, revealing patterns that had been invisible before. Lines of pure energy connected all 500 vessels, forming a massive geometric pattern in space. What's happening? Vale asked, his crystalline form vibrating with both fear and awe. The Heritage Fleet's true purpose, Guardian explained. These ships were not built to fight separately. Together, they form a single vast machine, a device capable of manipulating the fundamental forces of the universe. On the bridge of each ship, human crews felt a strange connection forming through their neural interfaces. 500 crews thinking as one, guided by Guardian's ancient wisdom. All ships reporting ready, Robert announced. The pattern is stable. Mark took a deep breath. Guardian, show us what our ancestors built this fleet to do. The Ravagers believe they have copied our dimensional technology, Guardian said. They do not understand. Our weapons were merely a test, a way to verify their weaknesses. This is our true power. The geometric pattern formed by the Heritage Fleet began to glow with impossible colors. Space itself seemed to bend around them. By the stars, Vale whispered as his sensors tried to make sense of what was happening. You're not just creating dimensional rifts. You're rewriting the laws of physics themselves. Guardian's voice carried a hint of pride. Humanity discovered that the universe's fundamental forces can be locally altered. The Ravagers' technology depends on quantum mechanics as they understand it. But what happens when those rules change? The answer came swiftly. As the Heritage Fleet's pattern activated, a wave of altered physics spread through space. In its wake, the Ravagers' weapons simply stopped working. Their shields flickered and died. Their engines, based on principles that no longer applied in that region of space, went dark. How is this possible? James asked, watching in amazement as the mighty Ravager fleet drifted helplessly. Our ancestors understood something fundamental about the universe. Guardian explained. The laws of physics aren't fixed. They're more like suggestions. With enough energy and the right technology, they can be revised. The Ravager ships tried to flee, but their advanced drives couldn't function in the altered space. Their weapons, designed to manipulate quantum forces that no longer work the same way, were useless. This is why we hit our true level of advancement, Guardian continued. The power to change reality itself. It was too dangerous to let the Ravagers know it was possible. So we waited, let them think we were primitive, until we could strike at their entire fleet at once. Mark opened a channel to the Ravager fleet. Your technology means nothing here. Surrender, and we'll restore normal space-time. Resist, and you'll drift in this altered physics bubble forever. For the first time in recorded history, the Ravagers sent a message of surrender. As the Heritage Fleet maintained its pattern, Vale turned to Mark. All this time, we thought we were teaching humanity about advanced technology. But your ancestors, they had moved beyond technology entirely. They were reshaping reality itself. Mark smiled. Maybe now the galaxy will understand. Never judge a species by their apparent level of advancement. You never know what they might be hiding. The battle was won, but the war wasn't over yet. The Ravagers still had forces scattered throughout the galaxy. But now, everyone knew the truth about humanity's legacy and the real power of the ancient fleet. 3 months after the Great Battle, the Galactic Council chamber looked very different. Where once the Luminary and Mentari had dominated the proceedings, now humans sat in equal positions of power. The Heritage Fleet hung in orbit above, a constant reminder of humanity's true capabilities. Mark stood at the center of the chamber, delivering his final report. The last Ravager forces have been eliminated. Using the fleet's reality-altering capabilities, we've established protective zones around all major population centers. No hostile force can operate advanced technology within these areas without our permission. The council members, representing dozens of species, listened in respectful silence. Gone were the dismissive looks and condescending attitudes. Now they watched humans with a mixture of awe and newfound respect. Guardian has confirmed that the threat is over. James added from his position beside Mark. The Ravagers' entire civilization was based on stealing and adapting others' technology. Without that ability, they couldn't sustain their empire. Vale, who had become one of humanity's strongest supporters, spoke up. And what of the Heritage Fleet's technology? Will humanity now share all its secrets? Anna stepped forward, holding a data crystal. We've prepared a technological exchange program. Some advancements will be shared immediately. Medical technology, clean energy, basic space-time manipulation theories. But the more advanced concepts, those must wait. Guardian's hologram appeared in the chamber. As humanity's ancestors understood, power must be matched with wisdom. Each species must develop certain understandings on their own. Robert, who had been studying the fleet's database, explained further. Think of it like teaching advanced calculus to someone who hasn't learned basic math. Some concepts require a foundation of understanding that can't be rushed. The Mentari representative's antennae twitched with curiosity. But humanity achieved this level so long ago. Why hide it? Why choose to forget? Because true advancement isn't just about technology, Mark answered. Our ancestors could have fought the Ravagers directly, but that might have led to the destruction of many civilizations. Instead, they chose a harder path. They hid their power and waited, allowing the galaxy to develop naturally while maintaining a hidden shield against the greatest threat. They sacrificed their own advancement, James added, so that all species could have a chance to grow and develop in their own way. That's humanity's greatest legacy, not the technology, but the wisdom to know when not to use it. Vale's crystalline form glowed with understanding. We called you primitive. We treated your species like children. Yet all along, humanity was watching over the galaxy, Guardian confirmed. Not as conquerors or rulers, but as guardians. That legacy continues today. Mark activated a hologram showing the Heritage Fleet's new deployment. We're establishing a network of defensive positions throughout the galaxy, not to control or dominate, but to protect. Any species can develop as they choose, without fear of external threats. And the reality-altering technology? Another council member asked. Will remain a human secret, Anna said firmly. Not because we don't trust you, but because some knowledge must be earned, not given. When other species reach that understanding naturally, they'll be ready. The council chamber erupted in discussion, but it wasn't angry or frightened. There was a sense of hope, of possibilities. The galaxy was entering a new age, one where humanity's hidden strength would help ensure peace and progress for all. Later, on the flagship's observation deck, Mark stood with his fellow humans, watching the stars. Our ancestors would be proud, James said quietly. We not only preserved their legacy, but used it exactly as they hoped we would. And now? Anna asked. Where does humanity go from here? Guardian's hologram appeared beside them. Now you continue what your ancestors began. You guide, you protect, you help others grow. But most importantly, you remember the lesson that made humanity truly great, that the most advanced civilization isn't the one with the most powerful technology. It's the one wise enough to know how to use it. Mark finished, smiling at the stars. The Heritage Fleet glowed softly in orbit, no longer a forgotten relic, but a symbol of humanity's true strength. The power not just to reshape reality, but to choose when not to. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Never judge a species by their apparent level of advancement. Sometimes, the most powerful civilizations are the ones wise enough to hide their power until it's truly needed. And humanity would continue to watch, to protect, and to guide. The hidden guardians of a galaxy that had finally learned to respect what they had once mocked.